To continue with our prayerful start, let's invite the Reverend Astor Carlisle, the senior pastor at the Webster Memorial, for the invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, your presence fills heaven and earth. As the rivers run to the seas, so your love runs to meet us. As the sights of creation capture our attention, so your grace captures and captivates us. We give you thanks for the beauty of earth and sky and seas, for the richness of mountains, plains, and rivers, for the songs of the birds and the loveliness of flowers. We thank you for the privilege of being co-laborers with you in this, your creation. Thank you, Lord, for our Prime Minister, ministers of government, and ministries of our land who work for the good of our common life. We pray for your stewards in the ministries of finance and public service and local government and community development. Grant them continued wisdom and grace. We ask your blessings upon these compacted trucks that have been secured for the work of the NSWMA. Protect the drivers. Strengthen the waste disposal collectors. Help all of us to preserve the dignity and the integrity of our environment. Bless these proceedings today, and grant that through our giving and our living, Jamaica may under God increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. We pray these things for Christ's sake. Amen.
You may be seated. Thank you so much, Reverend Carlisle. And I did acknowledge the fact that we had an extra visitor who has been ushered out as well nicely. You know, it's part of nature, so we make sure that he is still able to fly around well. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us here. It's a very, very momentous occasion. Today, we commissioned 20 brand new trucks for the National Solid Waste Management Authority. It's part of not an idea, but a vision, an overall vision that has links not just to NSWMA, but certainly it will reverberate across the entire Jamaican society. You know, a healthy nation, a clean nation, leads to a prosperous society as well. May I start, though, with the formal salutations, the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honorable Desmond McKenzie, the Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Mr. Dennis Chung, the Chairman of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, Mr. Audley Gordon, the Executive Director of the NSWMA, and other representatives of the authority here with us this morning. Reverend Carlisle, thank you so much for the moving prayer. Mr. John Rawlson, the Managing Director of Tankwald Group, and other specially invited guests, members of the media who are joining us online, thank you so much for being with us here this morning. You know, since 2016, there's been a systematic and strategic investment in ensuring that our nation is certainly far cleaner, and especially regarding the National Solid Waste Management Authority. More than 60 trucks, brand new trucks, have been commissioned into service since 2016. That deserves a round of applause. And so the man who's been in charge of steering the board and certainly looking over the affairs of the organization, we know from whence it came, really, and the stewardship that has been ongoing at the organization. The chairman of the board, the man who does the maths, and the man who ensures that strategically we get things right there as well, along with the management team. May I invite Mr. Dennis Chung, the chairman of the NSWMA board, to come with the greetings.
Thank you, Naomi. You've hailed up everybody already, but let me recognize our Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, my minister, who is decked out in his colors this morning. I want to recognize Camille Facey, who has been with me on the board since 2015 and has been a real stalwart. Oddly, how could I not, talk about you? You have really been a rock for us over the past few years, and I want to thank you for that. Lindley is not here, but I want to also recognize members of staff. Comrade Adrian is here with us. Eddie Muir and Garnett, regional managers and our director of finance. I want to also recognize our Reverend, who we can call on all the while, Reverend Carlisle, and John from Tanquil. Thank you, everyone. I want to welcome everyone today as an entity. We are overjoyed to be welcoming 20 more, and I have in bold here, new trucks to our fleet, as the lack of reliable trucks has been one of the biggest challenges that we face as an entity. And irrespective of how important any other sector think they are, if you stop garbage collection, you see who is really important in this country. So Vision 2030 cannot happen without us, and because of that, we are really overjoyed for another 20 trucks. Reliable trucks, of course, helps to maintain reliable schedules. And what you are seeing here today is a revolutionary thrust from the government of Jamaica, and our minister has been at the forefront to maintain a rolling stock level that will over time result in a cleaner Jamaica. Minister Mackenzie, I want to personally thank you for your support from day one, when you told me that one of your first priorities is that even if we don't have any money, we're going to get some new trucks. And you have fulfilled on that, because that was essential for us to get proper garbage collection, or as much as we could, right? Because we still have a long way to go. Between 2016 to 2020, we received 63 new trucks. That is a record. Now, in any country, right? That's a record. And the cost of it is $357 million, almost bigger than the COVID budget. Right? But it has been a significant improvement to what we consider, and as a board, we've strategically looked at what is our core operations. And our core operations, irrespective of anything else that we do, unless we collect garbage and maintain landfills, nothing else will matter. And this is a significant contributor to it. So NSWMA now has 150 trucks, which has, as oddly as said, we're becoming a truck company, right? More than anything else. And that is something that we'll have to deal with. We have to address also. We've looked at it strategically as a board and said, this is really not the business we want to get into, but right now, we have to deal with it. The units were manufactured in China and purchased through Tanquil Metals, dealer for the Shackman brand of trucks in Jamaica. Some people would use the word, just like the Chinese virus, the Chinese trucks, right? And they'll be allocated proportionately between the regions to ensure standard collection throughout the country. So MPM will get 7, WPM 5, SPM 4, and NEPM 4. The trucks, along with the execution of environmental management programs, which are currently being undertaken by NSWMA, such as public education about properly securing and minimizing waste through composting, proper containerization, which is important because when you don't have your garbage containerized properly, it means that the truck, instead of spending 10 minutes on a road, spends 1 hour, and that slows down the process. Stamping out illegal dumping and reduction of waste in gullies, which is an exciting program Audley is spearheading now, will all combine to improve our efforts at collection. Minister, we've come a long way, and now all we have to do to get things moving along is put you in charge of traffic so that we can get the trucks moving efficiently on the road, because irrespective of how many trucks you have, if they can't move, it don't make any sense. And this is one of the issues we saw, unless we're going to park a truck at each road. So we're gonna push for that, Minister, to get you in charge of traffic. Before I close, though, Minister, I want to take this opportunity to say that it has been an interesting 5 years, or a little 5 years, as chairman, as I recognize that I'm certainly in my last year, since there's a statutory limit of 6 years. So as of next March, I'll be riding my bicycle a lot more. You know, I look forward to that. As the 6-year limit is coming to an end. Oh, it's longer, well, I hear 6, so we're holding on to the 6. Our goals at the start was to improve collection, which we have done, right? So we set out specific goals at the start. The first one was improve collection, which we have done. We have more to do. But the type of calls that we used to get 4 years ago, we don't get those calls again. With the greater majority of the calls we get now is commending us and offering assistance. The second objective was to get to the final of the public sector corporate governance awards, which we did a little better and got 2 last year. And this year, Camille says she'll get us the award, Minister, or you'll have her head on a plate. It's COVID time, so platter too expensive now, so a plate will go in with. We're going to put it on for you. The third one was to not have any major fire like 2015 at any site, and we have managed to, so far, been able to hold to that. And Audley has assured me that all the topsoil in Jamaica is at the sites, so we won't have a problem. The fourth one was that we wanted to improve the organizational culture, and I have to thank Audley for that, because right now I think everybody wants to work at NSWMA. All we have to do now is just up the salary a little bit, right? And then everybody will be there. And Audley has certainly made great strides, because right now we have a sexual harassment and whistleblower policy in place, which is a significant achievement for the organization. And importantly for me, Minister, the most significant goal for me as an accountant was to bring our audited financials up to date, having been 10 years behind in 2015, and we achieved that last year. We were able to deliver before the deadline with some qualified reports, and I'm happy to report, Minister, that this year we'll not only deliver them to you next week before time, but the financials for all regions are unqualified for the first time in the history of the agency. So, Minister, my cup is full. We have achieved all the major goals that we set out to do in 2015, when we were seen as one of the most corrupt agencies in the country. So we're happy for that, and I think to retire at the time like Usain Bolt did on the top is good. You know. So I want to thank you, Minister, for that, for the support that you have afforded us over the years. I want to thank the board members also for the support, because it has really been a very hard-working board, and the work hasn't stopped yet, because we have retreat coming up and all of that we still need to do. And in particular, Lindley is not here as the deputy chair, and Camille has been a stalwart in terms of the corporate governance side. Or CG Guru, corporate governance guru, who will be retiring next year with me also. And also, Minister, I want to thank Audley for the excellent job he has done in leading the agency and supporting all the board policies. And certainly I feel vindicated in choosing him to lead the organization, having gone through the public outcry at the time. We're either going to rise together or die together. So thankfully it wasn't the latter. So thanks again for the continued support in once again providing us with these reliable trucks, and we will do all we can to ensure that the people of Jamaica receive the service that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dennis Strong. You can't be retiring to go into cycling, that's for sure. Years and years ago, when I was fit, we used to cycle together. I suspect that you're still cycling. I'm not. The reward for good work is more work. So I think you're really going to have to negotiate with the Prime Minister in terms of your retirement. You know, Usain Bolt retired on top. But the thing is, when you have good people there, you know how many times people are saying, come back and run another race, you're saying? Yeah, well, he may just do that. Who knows? All right, thank you so much. So, you know, I have to stress as well, along with Dennis, the importance of vision and leadership. And he was entirely right. You know, you can't say thank you enough or express gratitude when you do have a very good and strong management team. And I purposely waited until after Dennis would have spoken to highlight the fact that we have one of the great stalwarts on the Board of Management at NSWME, Mrs. Camille Facey, who is in charge of corporate governance there, really. And Camille, sometimes she is a little too humble in terms of saying, you know, her journey. But one of the things I've done, too, is watch Camille's mentorship of younger people as well. And I think if you retire maybe in about 3 years, the mentorship program that you have in place, maybe, but I don't know about next year. The Prime Minister, though, will have his piece there. Audley Gordon, as the executive director, has been just absolutely brilliant. And it can be seen, Audley, I can tell you, with the lack of media reports on NSWMA. If anything was going bad, they would have said it a long time, right? They haven't really, because you've been doing just a fantastic job with you and your management team, along with Miss Aretha McFarlane of the operations and finance area, and Andrew McRae. Also on your team, Tracy Fakuri, who is in charge of waste management at the operations level, Mr. Adrian Grant, Garnet Edmondson, Eddie Muir, and a lady who's been really revolutionizing your community relations section, Ms. Kim Blair. Your entire team really needs a round of applause because you have been doing great work. You've been improving the collection, the scheduling, you know, and anytime I can attest to it because I'm in touch with Audley a lot. Whenever there is a scheduling issue and someone points it out, it is immediately addressed. And also really just the issue of the morale of the workers. You know, we no longer refer to them as garbage collectors. It's really now sanitation officers. And that does a lot to the psyche, one, of the people who are on the road, but two, of the people who you interact with, the residents who you collect their waste, because it's so important, that level of interaction, communication, and just how you see yourself as well. So thank you so much for steering the organization in the way you have. The man who has overall responsibility at the portfolio level as well should not duck any of the accolades, despite the fact that he constantly, in this COVID time, wears an Arsenal. Is man? Oh, see it there? Yeah, I was thinking that he really should have worn a Liverpool mask, but you see, he's very passionate about this Manchester United thing. Mind you, I'm not really that big football fan, but my position on this BPL thing is that there's no Jamaican who should not be a Liverpool fan. Not after the 1980s with John Barnes every Sunday that you have to watch on TV. But really and truly, the Honourable Desmond McKenzie has I think, grown a lot in the portfolio ministry, but certainly in terms of his own vision. He outlined that on Tuesday in Parliament. He has a lot of achievements really to be proud of under the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, and in particular, just ensuring that our markets, places around the country are kept clean and sanitized, and in particular to his overall portfolio responsibility. So may I invite the man who wears the mask of Manchester United to come to the lectern.
I will sympathize with you because class is class and you can't replace class. The records will speak for itself that Manchester United is the most successful football club in the world, barring none. Most Honourable Prime Minister, colleague Minister of Finance, and I must say at this point in time that you arriving at Eros Circle has done more for the National Solid Waste Management Authority than we could ask for. Dennis, who has been chairing the board, and when I got the responsibility as the minister, I sat with the Most Honorable Prime Minister to look at the composition of the board, especially the National Solid Waste Management Authority. And without any hesitation, the Prime Minister endorsed retaining Dennis and that group of private sector individuals who worked on the board. And today the organization is in a better place because of the leadership that Dennis Strong and the team has brought to the National Solid Waste Management Authority. Other members of the board, chaplain of the Ministry of Local Government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, representative of Tankwell, good morning. It's not my morning to speak. The Minister of Finance is here and the Prime Minister. The entity known as the National Solid Waste Management Authority was established out of what was then MPM, Mr. Seaga, back in the 80s, when the restructuring of garbage collection was put in place, created MPM and 3 other agencies across the country to deal with the collection of garbage. Because the system of public cleansing at that time operated exclusively under local government. And we have seen the deterioration of a collection of garbage over the years until the amalgamation of all the entities into what is now known as the National Solid Waste Management Authority. Since then, the organization has suffered from various illnesses, lack of transparency, lack of accountability, falling down in its responsibility to deliver its core function by collecting garbage. And one of the features of the organization was almost a daily appearance on the front page of our daily newspapers and being the lead story in the news item almost on a daily basis. We had a decision to make when we came into office whether or not we would continue on the same path or to make changes that would benefit the country and not benefit individuals. And so what we have been able to achieve in 3.5 years, it is unbelievable. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the investment that this administration has made in the National Solid Waste Management Authority since 2016 is the greatest single investment that has been made in the entity since its inception in the 80s. And this is an achievement that we all should be proud of. We have seen and we have felt the work of the organization. And we are not here saying that we are out of the woods. We are not saying that the 20 new trucks is going to change the challenges we face with garbage collections. But what it is saying to us, that if this kind of investment was made consistently over the years, we would be far better off than we are today. But thank God for the vision of this administration and the fact that the administration believe that a clean country will give results at the end of the day. So today we are here to hand over 20 brand new trucks. And as I said in Parliament on Tuesday, this is not a part of the 100 trucks. That is to come in the next term, because that process will take some time to get us there. So these 20 trucks will take the organization in a better place. Each parish will receive one truck. And we're a parish as a city, and you know that there are only 2 parishes with cities, that is Montego Bay and Kingston. They will get an additional truck. So that will account for 16 of the 20 trucks. Then we look at the populated areas in Jamaica where the demand for garbage collection is great. And Portmore represents a large constituency of Jamaicans. So Portmore will get an additional truck. So St. Catherine will have one more, which would take care of Portmore. And when we look in the middle of the island, Clarendon, Longville Park Housing Scheme, Mineral Heights Housing Scheme, that is a dense population of Jamaicans, and that community will get an additional 1 truck. And the 2 remaining trucks will complement the work of the organization dealing with commercial collections right across the country. So the 20 trucks will be spread equally across the island and looking at the areas that the demands are great. And we will still rely on the services of the private contractors to supplement the work of the organization. 63 trucks is not enough. The demands are great. And one of the things we're going to be looking at, Prime Minister and colleague, is to intensify the public education program of the organization so that we can urge our Jamaicans to buy in, to become more disciplined in how they dispose of their waste over the next couple of years. We are taking care, and we know that maintenance is critical, and the chairman spoke about that. The company that has provided these trucks have been offering training to the drivers over the last couple of days. We are equipping the drivers to ensure that they handle this investment in the best way possible. And there's a warranty for 3 years on these trucks, and we'll be working with local mechanics to ensure that there's a relationship that is developed in the maintenance of these units as we go forward. Last thing I want to say, Prime Minister, is that there is a group of workers that is contributing to the success of the organization. And the chairperson made reference to those persons who we know refer to as sanitation workers. We have given pride and substance to the position that they hold. Not just elevating them by putting them in uniform and giving them the requisite training, but over the last 2 years, we have increased the salaries to these workers. I made a commitment 2 years ago, and we are honoring that commitment with an additional $22 million that will go towards improving the salaries for that category of workers in the National Solid Waste Management Authority. I want to thank the workers for their contribution, and they have done well. Finally, sir, I will engage you and Minister Clark in some discussions, because you can't retire at the age that Dennis is contemplating. And when we have good things that work, then we should try to make it work. Good leadership is what is required to run any organization. And you are a living testimony, sir, to what leadership is all about. It is your leadership that has brought us to this place. And when we continue into the new round of leadership, we need all hands on deck to steer the ship. This morning, I am exceedingly happy and giving thanks for an administration that cares and for an entity that is a shining star as a public sector entity that delivers service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Mackenzie, for your words. On your screen inside here at the banquet hall, you will see just some photos, live photos of some of the trucks that will be commissioned very shortly. We will certainly cut the ribbon and hear the horns going off after. And of course, a number of the sanitation workers are here as well to take part in that. Up next, to bring us some brief remarks, the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clarke. You know, quite frankly, there isn't much to say about Dr. Clarke because his work speaks for itself. You know, Dr. Clarke believes in a process of strategic statistics. Let the figures speak for itself, and it certainly has. He has presided over an economy that really has strategically moved forward, but also he has a broader vision of ensuring that what we do links to other things that will inure to our greater development. And so the man who introduced CARE to us certainly will come and speak with us now. Dr. Clarke.
Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Minister of Local Government, the Honorable Desmond Mackenzie, Chairman of the Board, Mr. Dennis Chung, Managing Director Audley Gordon, other members of the Board and management of the NSWMA, suppliers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. A lot of people must be wondering, what is a Minister of Finance doing at the launching ceremony for 20 garbage trucks? It's either one of two reasons. It's either that I'm about to be tapped, or it is that they recognize the passion that I have for the business of garbage collection. When I offered myself to run in the constituency of North West St. Andrew just over 2 years ago, on one of my walks through the constituency, a lady pulled me aside and said to me, look, you know, we're interested in the debt thing, you know, and keeping it low on the inflation thing and those things. But I want you to know that what we really care about is the garbage collected on time. And she went on to list a number of things that she really cared about. And it speaks to something that we know, that what we care about tends to be what affects us directly, local issues. And the public service that, the government offers public services to all Jamaicans, but one of the public services that we consume most regularly and we consume universally is the public service of waste management. On a weekly basis, sometimes more than once a week, every single Jamaican household has an expectation that refuse and waste in their community will be disposed of in some way, shape, or form. So the easiest way for a government to signal its intention, and its intention to move towards greater degrees of order, is through a radical improvement in waste management and garbage collection. And it is for that reason that it didn't take much for me to get on to the train of supporting the move of radically transforming waste management in Jamaica. And it's been a pleasure working with Minister Mackenzie, who leads this initiative, Chairman Dennis Chung, and the ever-present Managing Director, Audrey Gordon. It takes capital to engage in an exercise such as this, and I have been saying for a few years that capital expenditure is what improves the quality of life of Jamaicans. And under this administration, we've been proud, pre-COVID, to move capital expenditure from just over 30 billion in 2015-16 to approximately 70 billion in 2019-20. That's an increase of just under 2.5 times in a short period of time, and that is what has allowed for what we're experiencing this morning. And as Minister Mackenzie has told you, this is but a sign of things to come. Now, what we're going to expect is that these trucks are cared for and that they last. And you can bet that anytime any one of them is damaged, the picture, the photograph is going to be taken and it is going to go around. Right? This, at the end of the day, is the people's money, and the people's money must be protected and used properly. But the goal of having a city, or having cities across Jamaica, and having a country that is clean and that is ordered is a goal of Prime Minister Holness and this administration, and will symbolize to the Jamaican people what is possible in more complex areas. With regard to the stewardship and tenure of your chairman, Mr. Dennis Chung, the regulations for public bodies actually have a term limit of a little longer than you have mentioned. I think it's 10 years. And what I would say to you is that one good term deserves another. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. I suspect that there is then no debate, Mr. Chung, on the way forward. Ladies and gentlemen, and now for the main address. Again, you know, a lot of people say, well, this person needs no introduction. That's probably true. So I'll just give you 3 or 4 adjectives to cement the case. You would have realized that yesterday was a very important day. The Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, launched, apart from his birthday, a very revolutionary commission that will take Jamaica forward. Yes, it was on his birthday, but really it speaks to vision. So I'm giving you adjectives. It speaks to vision and passion to see the country grow. For me as well, I'll put the adjective courage in it. To lead, you must have courage. And I think that his broader vision, focus, and passion for Jamaica is seen in so many things that he does. He's not just about his own business. He says that all the time when he does interviews. He's about the people's business. So coming today to deal with the people's business, as usual, the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Thank you, Naomi, for directing the proceedings as you have done already. These days, before I take off my mask, I make sure to spend enough time at the cameras with the mask on so that the entire Jamaica can see that the wearing of masks are still being enforced under the Disaster Risk Management Act, and that I am compliant. And by that example, I'm hoping that the rest of Jamaica will comply. Indeed, not just with the wearing of masks, but maintaining the various protocols, including regular hand washing and sanitization, maintaining social distance if events and functions like these are to be kept, that the arrangements ensure that there is a physical distancing, that if you are ill, if you have respiratory-like symptoms, flu-like symptoms, if you're coughing, sneezing, sniffling, stay at home. Yes. So, having said those, I am allowed to take off my mask when I'm making the presentation for convenience. Now, let me acknowledge our resident pastor, Pastor Carlisle. I was at your church on Sunday giving thanks for the service of the first responders and health workers. And it was a very moving ceremony, very appropriate. The Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, he said, "What is the Minister of Finance doing here?" And I am about to say the same thing. Why is the Prime Minister cutting the ribbon on these trucks? Well, it's part of my job, but it is also very important, as Minister Mackenzie will point out. And indeed, Mr. Chung, who is far too eager to leave the NSWMA, we'll have to rectify that, Minister of Finance. And what a beautiful sight. And the Executive Director of the NSWMA, Mr. Audley Gordon, as all of them will know, that your current fleet is simply not enough. I believe you have 100 and, well, with this you'll be at 150. So you are at about 130 trucks now. Now 130 trucks for 2.9 million. Well, if you take all the people who are not Jamaicans but who live here or who don't reside here but who visit, so at any one time on the island you may have as many as 3 million people or more to service. And we only have 130 trucks functional at any one time. Well, 130 trucks in total, of which a percentage is functional. So you begin to see now the significance of adding 20 more trucks to the fleet. So it is a major achievement, one that should be marked with some ceremony to bring that across to the public, that the government is serious about increasing the fleet and therefore increasing the service. But it is also important to note that in the last 4 years, you have added how many? 63. So that is the importance of this ceremony. So other people talk about improving service and making the capital investment, right? But we act on improving the service and making the capital investment. The problem, of course, is that in Jamaica, talk is powerful. And sometimes those people who have the voice and the eloquence in delivery will capture the hearts and minds of the people and sway their opinion away from action. And therefore, it may very well be a false notion that action speaks for itself. Actors must speak for their actions. And we as a government must at all times speak about the work that we are doing, because no one else is going to speak about it other than ourselves. So every achievement that we have made, don't take it for granted. Never take it for granted that the average man, the public believes that it is the work of the government. So I make it a point of duty to open formally every housing scheme that is built by the government of Jamaica. I go to the groundbreaking and I hand over the keys. We have gone over 20,000 already. That's the most in any one term and most in 2 or 3 terms put together. You know, all the police stations that we are building and improving, I'm going to hand them over and cut the ribbon so people can see. All the investments that we have made in national security, all the roads that we have done, never before in our history. But we face a structure in our society where there are some people who have voice, who are commentators, and if you listen to what they say, it is as if the sky has fallen. So my job and all our jobs, ministers, is to speak to the public, engage them and let them know the transformation that is taking place in Jamaica. When I was the Minister of Education, and yesterday I launched the new Transformation Commission for Education. It was a very, on reflection, I was very happy with how it turned out, because not only was it a launch, but it was, I think, cathartic. It gave an opportunity to bring together the 2 streams of thought in Jamaica and have them resolved as to where this country needs to go. So, when I was the Minister of Education, I took over the transformation project that was started by the previous administration. So I remained faithful to the plan that was developed, and my task was to implement. And I went straight ahead and implemented. I didn't bother to go and unravel the thoughts, the research, and the conclusions that were given by that task force. My job was to implement as a minister, and that is what I did. And I remember we had a consultant in, and the consultant was saying, what is transformation? What is transformation? And he used an example. He says, transformation is moving from a caterpillar to a butterfly. It's the same being, but in a different form. And we need to transform Jamaica from this creeping caterpillar to this high-flying butterfly, beautiful butterfly. It is a lot of work to do that. But what is important about transformation is that in that natural process is that there is something called a cocoon. A period of time when the being places itself in almost a sheltered environment, and where its natural processes are focused and working very hard. It's internally focused on putting in place the systems and structures, and then afterwards, when the transformation is done, you take away the cocoon and it's brand new. This government is 100% focused on what matters for transformation. We are focused on making the environment safe. That's the first part of the cocoon. And therefore, the investments in our security forces and our national security apparatus. We are focused on the transformation of the minds of our people. Hence, we have launched now the National Education Transformation Commission to ensure that Jamaica is ready for the new world of opportunities to come. We are focused on the health of our people, and you can tell by the way in which we have dedicated resources, time, energy on managing the pandemic and keeping this country safe. We are focused on our environment. And you can tell by the positive steps we have taken as it relates to the protection of our natural assets. You know, there's a lot of talk about the cockpit country, but again, we are the only government to have acted. Only government to have acted. People have talk, and it meanders and it back and forth, but we are the only government to have acted. We are the only government to have taken the progressive and decisive steps on banning plastics. You know, I decided that this is something that we should do. Very important that we do it. When early in the term, Hurricane Matthew had threatened us, and indeed it had caused some serious showers. And I went to tour a gully near my constituency. And I was not just embarrassed, I was ashamed as a Jamaican. Ashamed to see the plastic bottles and plastic bags that were just being washed down from all the communities that would have fed into that gully, going to end up in the sea. But the immediate threat was that it would block the culvert and cause flooding along the Marcus Garvey Drive area. I was embarrassed. We had some international media with us. And I won't tell you what I did, but we averted that being carried. Because that is not the vision that we want people to have of Jamaica. That's not the image. Anyway, after much consideration and studying the issue, we passed the necessary policy position and legislation to ensure that we start to manage the disposal of plastics. So we are working to transform our structures. And I could go on. We're doing it in construction. You know, we're doing it in energy for renewables. And we will transform Jamaica. The challenge with transformation, however, is that in that period of time when you are doing the transforming, people lose patience. And especially if it is such a long time that you are suffering in the wilderness, you know, people will start to look for false gods. I leave that to Reverend Carlisle. So we have been in the wilderness for some time. So we have to keep engagement with the people so that people understand what it is that we're doing. Because the transformation, it's bit by bit, element by element, and oftentimes it is imperceptible. So things have changed. but the people don't see it. They don't remember what it was before because it is imperceptible. And so my job is to, at every landmark, remind them that yesterday you only had 130 trucks. Today you're at 150. It is transforming. Each parish will have one more truck, as small as it is. But 100 more households will have better access to waste management services. Transformation, as small as it is. And we're going to keep doing that day after day after day. So you're not going to see me running up and down, creating problems and, mischief and all kinds of things. When you see me, it's action I'm reporting on. A step that I have taken. Something that I have done. So, I'm explaining to you why you're seeing me now. Because our government has taken action to transform and better your life. We are in the midst of an economic crisis precipitated by a health crisis. There was, Jamaica has always had its economic problems, but there was nothing systemically wrong with the economy. So I hold out great hopes that the fall-offs and challenges that we have had as a result of the pandemic will not become systemic. We're doing everything possible to make sure that the economy gets back on track. And I'm watching the various signals of economic recovery. We take note of the consumer confidence index and the business confidence index, which is expected. But still, I still see it as a positive, Minister Clark, because it could have been worse. And indeed, many persons were expecting it to be worse. But it shows that there is resilience in the economy, right? Jamaica's resilience is astonishing. The crises that we have gone through, you would expect the country to collapse. But we are a strong and resilient people. We will recover stronger from the pandemic. I'm certain of it. So with those words, let me congratulate the NSWMA, the minister, the chairman, and the board of directors, and the executive director, and the staff for the work that you have been doing. And I want to encourage you to keep on doing well. I want to thank the representatives from Tankwell, who are the suppliers of the equipment. I hope that you are building into your organization the capacity to offer the long-term service that will be needed. These are the second fleet you have taken from the second fleet. This is the first. This is the first that you are using these trucks. Oh. We had two before, right? So you'd have had some track record with them. I'm expecting that these vehicles will perform very well. I was in Japan last year. Was it last year or earlier this year? Last year, I believe it was. Last year. And I requested to tour a waste management facility. Now, the waste management facility was in the middle of a residential area. Just beside it was a Golden Age home, and then a children's facility, and then a recreation area with a pool. And this was an incineration facility. There was no smoke coming out of the stacks. It was pure steam. Trucks were in and out. Smaller trucks than these. And that facility, you couldn't hear anything outside. There was no smell. You know, there was nobody hanging around. Very few people were there. The facility was run by maybe 20 or 30 people. It's a massive facility, all automated. And the facility generated electricity from the incineration, and that electricity supplied the Golden Age home and other services around it, and it generated heat as well. And some of that heat was used to heat the pool at the recreation facility. So it was all integrated. We have many years to get to that, many years to get to that. But since someone is already there, we know the steps to take to get to that. So the time for us should be shorter. The question is always whether or not we have the will. Do we have the will? Because what that society has done, and it may have taken them 100 years to get there, but the waste is separated, and the waste is collected separately. And every child at the level of the basic school, the infant school, understands that they must not drink from the plastic bottle and throw it through the car window on the road. The child understands that. Because the parent understands that. Because the culture understands that. It would be infradig. It would be a disrespect to the person to throw their waste on the road. We have to get to that culture. We have to get to that. That you couldn't bring yourself to throw your tissue paper on the roadside and walk away. You squeeze it up and push it in your pocket, and when you go home, you throw it away. You put your bag, your bottle in your bag, and when you go home, you dispose of it. We need to get to that level of culture. Because when we talk about culture, it's dance and music. But culture is also how we treat with our environment and cleanliness. When we talk about education, it is A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. But it is also bits of paper lying on the ground. Pick them up, pick them up. And that is why we have launched the transformation. So that we can change the culture of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister, for, again, those very engaging and interesting perspectives and food for thought in terms of just where we go. Might I also commend the NSWMA as well. They've launched a program through their community relations of containerizing and composting. Very, very useful. And I hear the minister saying that we're going to beef up, certainly, public education in the coming months as well. That is very good. Just a few notes. The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, Mrs. Marsha Martin Henry, has also sent her apologies for not being here. I believe there is a committee meeting that she's also a part of. And I'm pleased also to report that 90% of the trucks that have been acquired since 2016 are operational, and the service standards, maintenance schedule is up to date. That certainly is an achievement. Congratulate yourselves. And so yesterday I said to the Prime Minister after he gave a really, really good presentation in terms of, I'd call it a lecture series, at the launch of the Education Transformation Commission, that he should come and do a little recap. He said, no, I'm the main speaker, I'm not going to do the vote of thanks. And then he just said, see you in March when we get that report. So I thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for your main address, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. We now go outside to do the official ribbon cutting. We will also do some presentations on the outside. as well. May I invite then the media to go ahead of the Prime Minister and the team. The Prime Minister, along with the Minister of Finance, Dr. Nigel Clark, the Minister of Local Government, the Honourable Desmond McKenzie, the Chairman of the Board, the Executive Director, and Mrs. Facey will be cutting the ribbon this morning, and certainly there will be some sanitation workers out there. Before we go, may I take the liberty to say, along with, I don't remember what sign this is, but the Prime Minister celebrated his birthday yesterday. The man who prayed for us this morning celebrates his today. Reverend Carlisle, happy birthday to you. Well, I don't remember the signs, but something like that. I only remember that Virgon's rule. So August is coming up. So may I invite Reverend Carlisle as well to go and bless the trucks as the Prime Minister and team that I outlined will go ahead as well. Ms. Kim Blair on the outside certainly will direct all the proceedings in terms of just where you stand and a brief prayer that will happen. Thank you so much to all of those who are inside here. We'll continue with the streaming. Certainly you've been seeing a number of the photos from outside with all the trucks. So as the team from the inside walks on the outside, I will just give you an update really in terms of what will happen in terms of the ribbon cutting. Wonderful. So we have all those who will cut the ribbon who are now leaving the room. And they will make their way down to where that's a beautiful shot, where all the trucks are. Brand new garbage collection trucks, 20 new garbage collection trucks from the National Solid Waste Management Authority. They will certainly be ensuring that garbage collection is improved. Mr. Chung earlier would have told you exactly how those trucks will be used in terms of, I beg your pardon, not Mr. Chung, the Minister would have given you an update on how those will be used. 5 will go to the Western region, 1 to the parish of St. James, an additional 1 actually, so it will be 2 to the parish of St. James. MPM will get 7, that is 1 per parish, an extra 1 in Portmore as well, and of course 1 extra in the parish of Clarendon, which is under the SPM. The MEPM, that's the northeast section, will get 1 per parish as well. So those are well done and fully certainly allocated across the country. So at this point, we have the Prime Minister, the Minister of Local Government, the Minister of Finance. I believe Ms. Camille Facey should also be in that photo. And of course, Reverend Carlisle just giving another blessing to those trucks, really, and certainly presiding over the fact that the drivers of those trucks certainly would be fully covered. And so he, at this point, is giving a brief prayer, and then we'll have the official ribbon cutting to officially commission into service 20 new compact garbage collection trucks to the National Solid Waste Management Authority. You may follow the pictures as we have them on your screen.
Blessed Holy Spirit, we dedicate these trucks. Amen.
And there you have it, the official ribbon cutting. And so we'll have some of the workers, certainly with the trucks, and the officials ensuring that they fully understand, the capabilities of the trucks. The team from the National Solid Waste Management Authority is there. There'll be a brief presentation on the outside from the NSWMA and the company that brought the trucks in. Certainly they're taking some photographs. Of course, the workers will be interactive at this point.
There's a presentation.
In front of the truck, yeah? Take it.
Yeah, so you're giving us a model truck.
The group manager,
Giving you a reminder.
who is making a presentation.
What is it? Have it, show it.
Group manager, Mr. John Monster.
And you're MP. Yes, very good.
What color truck is it?
We work for the team.
All right.
Those presentations happening on the outside. Presentations to the ministers.
I don't have one for you. Someone was putting money in that truck.
Very nice. Very nice.
You can hear the sounds of the trucks moving as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. The official commissioning service of the 20 new garbage collection trucks. Now fully commissioned into service. They arrived in the island earlier this month. Fully commissioned into service as they make their way now.
But you need to be looking at the trucks rolling out.
To your homes.
Yeah, get that, get that.
Of course, take care of your solid waste at home. And that certainly is